This world today, it's it's after your mind. It wants to just turn you into a battery. It wants to use you for your gifts and your purpose, and then discard you. But while it's using you, doesn't want you to know you're being used, because then you may begin to, you know, understand you have a separate identity from the society. So society right now is really attacking identity. That way you're like an open market. If you can identify as anything other than yourself and what God made you, they can create identities that you can appropriate to, or um, ascribe to, and these identities are able to be sold to. So in essence, you're just something for merchants. And I thought of this because one day I was just thinking about accountability. Like, there's thieves, there's murderers, there's liars, there's all these things, but a lot of people won't say like I'm that. They'll say they exist, but we can't point to them. Like, hey, liars exist and thieves exist. You won't find a lot of people that's like, yeah, I'm a liar. So it's like what defines a liar is the actions and deeds and behavior. So if someone's behaving as a liar, it doesn't matter if they say they're not one. We observe and judge a tree by the fruit and say, hey, you're operating as a liar, you know? And so, regardless of what you say or tell us. And so, with that being said, um, corporations, politicians, things of that nature, they have products they need to sell, and they have a certain identity, or type of person that they want to consume and purchase these things. And so, like, as I was thinking about like identity, I was like, or thinking about accountability and like liars and thieves and all these things. I kind of had concluded that these things are offices that you can walk into, the same way the president of the United States is an office, not necessarily a person. The president exists outside of a person being in that office. That's why one can go out of that office and another person can come in. And so somebody can stop being a liar. Liar, the characteristic still exists, and then someone else can walk into it. And so with that, it showed me that, like, hey, somebody can be um, like a dancer, and that's their identity. I'm a dancer. I do choreography. I love the latest moves. I'm in the gym, all that. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's like, you know what? I want to be gothic. And they just get, some black makeup and paint their nails black and fishnet. And the gothic apparel manufacturers and music manufacturers cash in on this person, you know. And then if they can make a bunch of propaganda and commercials and music to say, hey, we want everybody to be this type of person, instead of gossip, we want you to be a humanitarian, or we want you to be um, about the whales, or we want you to be, bullies. Hey, stand up for whatever, but like mask it, but really being, bullying, you know, like all these different characteristics will play a part, if they want you to be a bunch of gang members. I'm from California, you go to the swap meet, it's just color bandanas, colored shoelaces, old English hats, Dickie suits, Chuck Taylors, you know, gold marijuana chains, medallions, and stuff like that. That's what's sold there. And then people walk into that office, of that characteristic or that identity, and now they can sell to you. And so the thing is, when you're not tapped into your purpose, because your purpose is singular, like you have a specific reason God made you, and you have one identity. You have many roles. Like you can be a father, a brother, a nephew, a coworker, like all these things, but you're still you. You know, your identity is you. The roles you play can vary. And so when they can put multiple identities instead of roles, but like actual identities in your head, you can be sold to by multiple corporations at the same time. And then also you can go insane and have a lot of mental health problems. And then not only are you feeding and accommodating these multiple personalities, you know, you're gothic and a skater and a biker and a painter and like all these things wrapped in one and a Democrat and like just all these things. And you now need prescription medicines from Big Pharma. So you're just getting cashed in on. You're exhausted because you missed the last Democrat debate meeting. You got to take meds every day. You have to figure out what's the latest type of paint for your artist side of you. You know, you want to be gothic, and so there's different outfits. You know, this store clothes, and they have the best ones, and now they're not half off anymore. Like all these random things, and it's like, what for? Everything I just named benefits you in no way. But there's people that are going into mental, spiritual, and physical exhaustion over these identities and over keeping up with nothing. None of that's God's purpose for your life. And you have to understand that. And so, um, me, I'm solution oriented, and I'm here to tell you that God's favor is on you, but why is it on you? And so I'm going to always kind of reiterate this on multiple videos. Picture favor as like football gear. You know, you get placed on a field, which is the world, you know, and then you have an end zone or touchdown area. That's your destiny. They taught you a football. That's your purpose that you carry within you, your gifts, your purpose, your identity. And then you have pads, you know, a helmet, pads, and a team that cover you. That's God's favor. Now, the favor is only there because you are on the field with the ball or just playing in general, or else you wouldn't need the protective gear. The people in the stands, they don't need the protective gear. You know, you're on the field, so you need the protective gear, which is the favor. So right there, you having favor means you're on the playing field going either to that touchdown, you're like winning or losing. You're going that way or this way. There's no in between. And so the reason you have favor is because you have purpose. Now, purpose cannot come from self. Purpose comes from the person that made the thing that has the purpose. If you make a coffee table, you thought of coffee or a table before making the coffee table. Hmm, my couch area looks, you know, kind of empty. Let me make a coffee table to accommodate or take up some space there. Your purpose is to have that space taken up by a coffee table. So then you make it. The purpose always exists before the thing. You had purpose before you were made. And so, with knowing that, no one can alter your purpose. And you have to stand on your purpose. You have to be acquainted with your purpose. You have to function according to your purpose, because your purpose is the only thing you can be judged by. It's the only thing you can be judged by. There's good and there's bad. That's what exists in the world. There's good, there's bad fruit, good tree, bad tree. The only way you can be determined as good or bad is by you functioning or bearing fruit or behaving how you behave. So if your behavior or your actions or your fruit bearing is according to purpose, it will be considered good. Good means functioning according to purpose, within the Hebrew context. Evil or bad means dysfunctional or violating purpose. So when you are familiar with your purpose and why you're even alive, like why do you wake up every day? Why do you exist? Why can you still take in oxygen when you inhale? Why is it still there floating for you to take in? Some people, the oxygen's there, but they can't take it in because they're no longer alive. The oxygen is still there, but their ability for their lungs to inhale it and their nose to inhale it is no longer there. They're stiff for whatever reason may have happened. Their purpose and their destiny met, and it was fulfilled. So with you, being having a purpose, a God-given purpose, because God seen this world, looked at it, was like, something's missing. And it was literally you. That's not to say that like some kind of motivational quote, but in actual reality, you didn't have to be here. God made you on purpose. You're intentionally here, and He can see you. He knows you're here. He knows you by name, by smell, by DNA, by everything. He knows you. You're here by His permission, and He grants it on purpose. He actually protects you. And so, since you're here on purpose, you will have people trying to distort that purpose for their gain, because purpose is also, it means like use. Like you ever seen the cleaner you have under your sink, all purpose cleaner, all purpose or all use. So you're here to be used. So that's why you also have to keep an eye on your circle and your network and the people you surround yourself with, because you have to be used by your circle or else don't have them. I like what I do. I like my gifts, and I love being used by my brothers and sisters because I get used according to my purpose. Hey, skill, you're good at this. You're good at that. Can you help me with this? I'd love to, because I love doing that, because God made me that way to love doing that. So, yes, when you want me to start, I don't mind. I'm not being used as in manipulated. I'm being used according to purpose. So I have use. You have to be useful in life. If you're not useful and there's no use for you, why are you here? So that dispels the thinking that you shouldn't be here. Because if you are here, that means you do have purpose. And so, or a use. God has a specific use for specifically you, and you just have to find out what that is. And of course, I can help you. That's what I do. That's one of my gifts. That's one of my strengths and callings and purposes, is to deal with people on that level. Like, hey, get away from things that are not your purpose, because that's wasteful. And you literally don't have the right to use the time and oxygen that God gave you to function according to your purpose to do things outside of your purpose. You don't have the right to not do what you're supposed to do, but use God's time and breath to do the things He doesn't want you to do. You don't have the right to do that. You have the ability, but it's not right. You don't have the right to do that. You should be functioning and behaving according to your purpose at all times. And so, not doing that comes with damage, it comes with dysfunction and traumatic experiences, because you injure yourself when you're violating purpose. So, like, if your purpose is to be the greatest, you know, janitor or the greatest accountant, you have no business hanging on the corner selling drugs and, you know, just drinking and being an alcoholic or doing domestic violence. Like, none of that has anything to do with being the best accountant. And what I mean by best means the situations you are in that encompass you being an accountant, those are good too. So if you're a married accountant, you're a great spouse. If you're an accountant with children, you're an accountant, that is a great parent. If you're an accountant that is employed and not like an entrepreneur accountant, you're a great employee. You're good. And again, good means functioning according to purpose. So all of these things have to weigh in. So when you look at where does like gang banging and drug dealing and uh, being alcoholic or harming people, where does that fit into that purpose? It doesn't. So now you are out of bounds and out of line when you're doing such things. And so you have to realize, like, look at your actual hands and arms, like you exist. You're really here. Because some people, they do like that mindfulness training and DBT and stuff like that. And, people have a hard time integrating into actual reality because rely on their personal reality, which is in their head that no one else can see, which gives you the wrong, unrealistic expectations of others that they can never meet. So you're always, you know, uh, at odds with people and can't sustain relationships because you're not in reality. And no one can, there's no common ground because nothing you want or see is seen by others. You have a personal reality and it's disordered. So you have a personality disorder, you know, and at the same time, being stuck in your head and having these expectations, you have to come out of it and be able to integrate into reality. So perception is how you view reality, but how you view reality, not how you view your reality. That's where you get into dysfunction and mental health problems. And this can be done simply by not functioning according to purpose. You can find yourself mentally traumatized and then trying to find your way out because now you hear voices, or you may have schizophrenia, you may have borderline, you may have a bipolar disorder, anxiety, avoidant disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, all these things because all these personal in your head standards and expectations and boundaries that no one else can be cohesive with because they can't see them, you self-sabotage your life. So that's why it's important to actually have perception, not your truth. There's no such thing as your truth. It's just truth. And then how you see it. Like outside, there are buildings. You can see them, and the person that's not you can see them. And you guys can have a conversation about the same set of buildings that you can both see. Now, you may perceive it different, and that person may perceive it different, but they're there. But you having some metaverse or La La Land princess or like boss dude fantasy that you're some trap god or you have this and this going on and you really don't. And then also, everyone's out to get you because something traumatic may have happened to you as a child or when you were vulnerable, or you may have experienced domestic violence. You may have been mugged or robbed or shot or abused as a child. And so you put up these boundaries, which you don't need because God is your protection and your boundary. And you need to believe and trust Him and then behave like He is protecting you. Because if not, you're going to behave like He's not protecting you. And then you're going to try to protect yourself with boundaries. And you're going to hold these boundaries up for so long, but your strength runs out and then you get weary and exhausted. And not only are you exhausted holding these up, you also block out the wrong people because God's sending you people to help you and your door's locked. Do not disturb. And so you do not possess the intellect to properly put boundaries in place because you're not designed to. That's why God made Adam and Eve, like He protected them. They took it upon themselves to be not perfect or not in lack. At some point, the snake came and convinced them of a different identity because he convinced them that their current identity had lack or deficiency in it because he told them there's a set of knowledge or a type of knowledge they don't have that God has and they don't. And if they eat of this tree, they'll get that knowledge too and be like God. So he convinced them that their identity was flawed and he wanted to give them a new identity. If they would have responded like, hey, bro, or whatever the gender the snake was, if it was a gender, like, hey, look, God made us the way we need to be, and that's all. Peace out. I'm comfortable with who I am in totality. If they would have had that the acknowledgement of their identity and that God doesn't make mistakes, we wouldn't be in this position. But they did not perceive that they are complete, you know, as is. They don't need anything added. That's what perfect is. You can't add to perfect. You can't take away from perfect. And so they decided that they were in want or in lack. Lack and want are synonymous. So they were in lack or in want of this certain knowledge. And the snake bribed them. Now imagine trying to bribe somebody that doesn't want anything. It'd be pretty difficult. Imagine trying to bribe somebody who doesn't want anything, like literally nothing. Hey, I'll give you like 9,000 other Earths if you do this, or I'll give you a zillion dollars. No, I'm cool. Like there's nothing you can do to get them to go outside of their character or identity, because there's nothing in exchange for who they are. I'm so valuable. There's no level of compensation you could ever give me in this so-called universe or whatever's outside of Earth. So standing on that keeps your identity intact. So you're not beginning to be mentally unstable or able to waver or assume multiple personalities or a personal reality. You just view reality. There's because stuff like might be or could be, that's not how stuff goes. Stuff is or isn't. That's why God said in the Bible, I am, I am what I am, or I am who I am. He didn't say I am who you perceive me to be, or I am what you think. Like I am what I am, no matter what you perceive, think, view, all that. So your perception or personal reality doesn't change reality. All you can do is view the reality. You can't impose your personal reality into regular reality and demand that regular reality bow to yours, which is how a lot of people do today in these political arenas and things about gender and things of that nature and what you can identify as, and then how you need to accommodate and appropriate and welcome and submit to these pronouns and titles, which you don't. Other people don't own reality. Reality is what it is, and no one can change it except God. And then there's how you view it, period. And then what God said about reality and how reality will happen is what you stand on, which is within the word of God. So, as an example, in reality, you can't go through a Red Sea. It's wet, you'll drown. But God's reality is built upon his word. So, in his word, you have favor. And so, the Israelites, knowing they have favor, could have them align with God taking them out of Egypt into so-called safety. But then when they see, hey, we're not safe because they behind us, the Egyptians and Pharaoh and armies. So safety has to come out of this situation some kind of way. And then they believe that, and God shows himself and the Red Sea parts and they go through. Even though that kind of defies reality, it's still reality because that reality is built upon God's word. And so God's word is the only thing that can change reality, not you or your perception. And so that's how a lot of you guys um, have problems with your family and problems with your significant others and with your friends because you think someone owes you something. There's a way that they should treat you, and if they don't, then you're offended. And we know offense is a trap. If you look up the word and Greek, Latin, and things like that, offense is bait. When Satan baits you, you fall for it, and then now you are triggered and traumatized and all these different things, and then that excuses a behavior you now use because of that. Well, since you XYZ, I'm gonna XYZ. So you're using what they did to justify the usually bad behavior, things you shouldn't do. But I'm doing this because you XYZ, because you should have XYZ. Expectations, stuff people don't have to do. You don't rule anybody. God is the ruler. And so these things that people are doing and these views people are having, they think their view being projected by their personal reality, other people should understand and submit to. And they don't understand that not only will people not understand or submit to it, they can't see it because it's made up in your head. That it's in your head doesn't exist outside of your head. So you have to understand, man, because you can control what's in your head sometimes, and you can't control reality. So it's safer for some people to just think what's in their head is, the standard or what's real. And so it's a tough thing we're in. But back to the subject of these personal realities, um, this world is trying to sell to you and make you um, just like a battery or a puppet that they can sell to and drain and use, for their purpose. That's why if you don't stand on your purpose, somebody's going to use you for theirs, and that's bars. You know, so what the plan? I mean, and feel free to do your own research, but they're pushing virtual reality and fantasy very tough, so you cannot accept real reality. They promote that reality is what you make it. Perception is reality. There's your truth, and your experience, and there's you walking in your shoes. No, you exist in the same earth and world that other people exist in too. That's a lie. You exist with other people on the same dirt, the same oxygen, the same trees, sky, sun, and moon. Now you have to figure out how to deal with that. That's where mental health problems come, is people can't deal with that. And so they hermit within their own personality and their own made up thoughts, and then you can't behave right, and so in that, as they pitch to you this personal reality and personal fantasy world that you can have, from the Muppet Babies theme song, when your room looks kind of weird and you wish that you weren't there, just close your eyes and make believe and you can be anywhere. That's not true. That's just in your head. You'll be there where? In your head, you will. When you wish upon a star makes no difference who you are, all that, the Fantasia and Disney stuff, and they tell you that you can be all these things and be all these places. That's not true. You can do what you're supposed to do. That's what you can do. How about that? And people don't like being told they can't do something. So that's why these things sound great. You can do anything. Me, Skill of Lightmare, I can't do anything. I can do what I'm supposed to do. Stuff outside of what I'm supposed to do, never mind it. If you tell me, oh, you're not good at this or that, you're not good at being an accountant, so that's not my purpose. So I don't care. You can't make fun of a washing machine for not knowing how to translate Spanish to you. It doesn't care because it's not its purpose. I wash clothes. I don't know Spanish, nor can I teach it to you. And I'm not going to ever be judged by that. No one's going to come and say, man, your washing machine sucks because it can't teach you Spanish. They're going to judge your washing machine by how well it washes clothes. So you have to stay in reality and within your actual purpose and know that that's what you're supposed to do and nothing outside of it. And who cares if someone tries to judge you by things that are not within your purpose? That's again how you can end up mentally ill and with certain brain dysfunctions and the things they may call it, these cluster Bs and uh, just different personality disorders and, the things the psychologists may say, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Edward Bernays, like all the psychology stuff, Myers and Briggs and stuff like that. They and they study the human five senses and they have a lot of knowledge about how we function, but they manipulate sometimes, um, like the purpose of you behaving, and so a lot of times it's for the gain of a corporation. So don't be victimized by that. And so, but back to what I was saying is they promote this fantasy of you can be whatever and do whatever. So that way you're not laser focused on one thing because you'll be very potent on that one thing. And so with that, when the penalty, if you guys heard about Facebook jail, if you go against community standards, then you can have your privilege of being in the metaverse taken away or within Facebook, hey, you can't come on for 7 days. Now you got to sit with your real life and you don't like it. So, hey, maybe if for some odd reason we all end up in detention camps or something odd, within the future or some kind of dystopian saga, and we just in some cells, some, I don't know, 10 by 10 cells or something, you know, but they give us VR headsets so we can be in Italy, France, Costa Rica, Egypt, Virgin Islands. We could just be wherever, and so it kind of accommodates us and eases us while we're really in a concrete cell. But if we don't abide by the community standards of the facility and they say, hey, you can't have your headset for 7 days and you got to sit there and stare at the walls, it's going to be insane. So that's approaching, everything's moving towards subscription based living, with the uh, like World Economic Forum and the Great Reset and things of that nature. And where you have to keep paying monthly for everything in the moment, it's where no one owns anything. Look it up, you know, everything will be on subscription. No one owns anything, and then anything can be taken away, or you could be suspended from anything. Whether our currency goes to a cash app based type of thing, or everything's a subscription, and then you can have your privileges revoked, your travel rights, suspended for 7 days because you typed something online that, you know, the higher ups don't like, and then your penalty is reality. Hey, you can't fly or go somewhere. You have to just sit in your life, you know, like that. Maybe you guys don't catch that, but and maybe some of you do. Hey, salute if you're like aware, and so You got to be careful and understand that God made you for a purpose, and you need to own that purpose and forget what you can't do that you're not even supposed to do. Or when someone tells you you can't do something, who cares? Like, people really get offended when someone tells them they can't do something. Oh, he told me I can't this, and don't ever let nobody tell you you can't this or that. Let people tell you. Let them. So what are you gonna do? Stop them? That's literally that there. If someone tells you, don't ever let nobody tell you, what are you going to do if they do? You have to let them. Like, you can't stop them. You got to go around unaliving people that tell you, hey, you can't do that. And now they're unalive because you got pride. Like that, none of that makes sense. That creates false expectations and false boundaries in a made up head. So these things, and and again, I'm just rambling. But these things, this world uses as propaganda to distort your mind and scramble your brain like eggs to where you just don't know up from down, left from right. But when you're singularly focused on your purpose, knowing that you have the favor of God, nothing else matters outside of your purpose. Again, just like a washing machine, nothing matters outside of washing clothes. I'm not a bookshelf. I'm a washing machine. I'm not a language translator. I'm a washing machine. You can't get in me and drive me. I'm a washing machine. All I do is wash clothes. It's okay to have a function, and that's all you do. That's why God made you. Now, again, you can have different roles, but your purpose and your function is what God made it. And I'll get into that in other videos of what that actually is and how to find that. Stay tuned. Like, don't tune out on me. Don't think I'm talking over your head or that I don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of these things are actual keys to why, people can't sustain a relationship, can't sustain a job, um, can't get over certain things. Now, I mean, a lot of it, some of it's the devil, some of it's God building character development in you. It's not all like, well, I'm not dogma or the rule or anything like that, but a lot of these principles are very vital to functioning as a human being that is created by God. And according to the Word of God. And so, to summarize this, like I said in the beginning, I'm just going to ramble, so I don't know what to title this or whatever, but I'm gonna title it something. But make sure you're not so attracted to fantasy, and understand that you don't have a your truth. There is no, "Oh, that's your truth. He spoke his truth, or she spoke her truth, and those is her shoes she's walking in, or his shoes that he's walking in. You can't judge that man." Well, yes, I can judge a tree by its fruit. If you're taking things that don't belong to you repetitively, you're a thief. And I'll say it, and you can't do anything about it except try to harm me, you know? But like, you can't tell people what they can't do because of your made up expectation in your head that they can't see nor have to abide by. That's mental illness. No one owes you anything. There's no certain way people have to treat you or else, you know, like, that's not really it. Now, of course, there's preferred things. People shouldn't try to, manipulate you, use you in an abnormal use, or drug you, unalive you, things like that. Like, they shouldn't do those things to you, you know, but people have the ability. And unless you're just willing to stop somebody from doing something to you, like, it's just words that you're going to exhaust yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, repetitively saying to people, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you can't enforce that. That's why it's best to stay within God's purpose for your life, because then He defends you. Noah was walking within his purpose. God got an ark for him. And if you remember, Noah's father in the Bible, he had a prophecy about why Noah would exist and what his task would be, you know? And so when he was born and he grew up, he lived it out and God protected him. Again, that's that football scenario. Noah had a prophecy and a purpose, like as a football, and he was in the earth on the football field, and he had a destiny, which was the end zone, and then the pads and the helmet and the team were pretty much the ark. And so he was in the ark, protected. So when the other team, the opposing football team, which was floods, wind, oceans, and storm and rain came, couldn't touch him. And he proceeded because favor is the protection to continue. That's what the word favor means in the Hebrew context. Separated life or the protection to advance or protection to continue or protected potential, you know? And so this is why it's important to understand purpose, because it's easy to end up with a mental health issue and now you're on pills and going through therapy and they're not telling you the root. They're just trying to have you cope with it or medicate you and trick your nerves and your nervous system and try to mechanically change your behavior. It's best to have God transform you. But that's really all I have for now. So I'm gonna just be on YouTube rambling, maybe every couple days or so, and you guys can come chop it with me if needed. But yeah, Skill to Lightmare here. Hey, Supercharged Favor merch is out. Um, FavoriteSociety.com. Please go get some sweaters and t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. Let the world know that things outside of God's purpose can't touch you because you got supercharged favor. They'll get shocked playing with you, trying to touch you. God's favor is on you and protecting you, and it's supercharged, so it's turbo. It's this favor works, you know, um, and so music video is shot too as well. So if just trying to do something big with it. So, if you feel led to subscribe to my channel, or donate, my Cash App is in the description. Feel free to be a blessing or lend resources. It's all appreciated. God provides, though. I'm never gonna be a beggar. I do aspire to be a fundraiser for different missional needs within the world and different areas of lack within the communities that I will be fundraising for. So get used to me asking for things, but I'm never begging. I'm just extending an opportunity to you to be a part of something God's doing with or without you. And that's pretty much how that goes on that. But if you feel led, please hit favoritesociety.com and grab you a shirt, a supercharged favor shirt. The song is out, the video's coming, it's already been filmed. But yeah, God bless you guys. Stop being defensive, stop having all these ridiculous boundaries and what people should or shouldn't do and how other people should behave. Focus on your behavior, not other people's. You get it together. Don't worry about what other people better do or what knowing the next person that XYZ's. Like what for? That's all childish. But like bad childish because we're supposed to be children of God, to enter into the kingdom. But you can be a bad child. So you gotta be a good child. But yeah, favoritesociety.com. Supercharged Favor is out. Go stream the song. Go get some merch. Again, it's definitely appreciated. And subscribe. And till next time, Skill to Lightmare here. God bless you guys and pray us out. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for every person that has actually watched this full video, which may be few, maybe many. But I pray that their lives are just made known to them. Like they start to understand why they exist, what your purpose is for their life, so they can stick to the plan. They can stick to the code, or stick to the script of what you have for them, and pay no mind to things outside of that, Father, and to where their mind is singularly focused. They're not dealing with schizophrenia and um, um, these other things, bipolarism and BPD and OCD and NPD and all the PDs, all the personality disorders, Father. I just pray that you give them a clean, clear, concise um, focus and identity. And I pray that sincerely, that you reveal your favor on their lives, and that your favor is what saves us. Your favor is what saves us. We are saved by grace, and grace is favor, and favor is grace. So we just thank you and praise you for that, this understanding. I pray that you continue to use me as a vessel of communication, Father, and a resource, and um, uh, a relayer of your message, Father, and a resource for them to be able to, uh, reach out to. In Jesus' name, amen.